Left-handed crocheter here. Today we're going to talk about our labels. Labels are a great source of information about the yarns that you're choosing. This label here has a free pattern. Make sure that when you take the label off, that you take it off by this area here where they've glued the label together. That way you're not going to ruin the pattern that's underneath. There's a couple pieces of information that I love to look at on my labels. It gives me lots of information. One, if I love the pattern that's on the front, it will tell me exactly how difficult this pattern is. This one's of medium difficulty. It will also tell me how many balls of yarn or skeins of yarn I'll need to complete that pattern, and it tells me what hook to use, what the suggested hook. This one is a crochet pattern, so they show me a crochet hook. If it's a knitting pattern, then this will be a knitting hook, a knitting needle. Down here, these symbols I always look at. This symbol right here with the skein of yarn shows me what weight this yarn is rated. The rating scale goes from a 1, very fine, super fine I think, all the way up to super bulky, which is a number 6, which is that really thick, bulky, chunky yarn. This one is a medium weight. It's a number 4, what we commonly call a worsted weight. You'll see that in patterns, kind of yarn. This one shows me that if I am wanting to knit with this kind of yarn, these are the size suggested knitting needles. It says here, if you can read it, it's a size 8 knitting needle. If I am crocheting, they suggest I start out with a size H crochet hook. If I need it to be a little tighter weave, after I've crocheted my swatch, then I go down a hook. If I need it a little looser weave, then I'm going to go up a hook, up to an I. This one says it's an H, and I've used this many times, and an H works great with this. But this information is really great, particularly when I find a pattern that I don't have the exact yarn that they are calling for. I can look up the weight of the yarn that they call for, and then I can compare it with similar yarns in that same weight class. So if they're talking about a worsted weight yarn and I don't have what they're looking for, then this skein here will work fine for me. Let's take a look at another one. This one, again, my favorite little symbols. This one says it's a super fine yarn. Sometimes they call this kind of yarn a sock yarn. It's very thin, very fine. It says here that if I want to knit with it, I use a size US 2 knitting needle, or I use a size 4, an E4 hook. This is a super fine kind of yarn. Again, it has that free pattern on the inside, gives me information about the pattern that I use, tells me again that it's a crochet pattern and that I would use a size E hook with this. Now, some labels do not have all of the symbols that you're looking for. This one says that it is a 3 weight, which is a sport weight, or oftentimes a baby weight yarn, but it does not show me what size hook I need to use when I'm crocheting. But if I read here, it does tell me a needle size. This needle size is for knitting. So it says that I need a needle size 6 for knitting, and if I go out online and I convert that from a knitting needle to a crochet hook, it'll tell me that I need a G hook. This kind of label is also a little bit different in that a lot of this information is tucked way in here. Again, this label does not give me all the symbols that I'm looking for, but again, it does tell me that that their suggested size of a knitting needle is a size 9. Size 9 knitting needle converts to an I hook in crochet. This is a super thick yarn, much thicker than a worsted weight. This would be in the size of a bulky yarn. You could use this with any pattern that's calling for a bulky size 5 yarn. the Left-Handed Crocheter here. I hope that this helps you in reading your labels and matching up the different yarns to your patterns that you're looking for. Thanks again. Have a great day.